This Euros best bets and NBA Finals Game 4 Picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast. It's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with code SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
I can confirm we will have vocoder abilities by the time we're talking college football with Colby preview season. Let's go.
Okay.
Very soon. I figured that would be a good time to debut it. Really test the lisp. Darren Waller going to be a guest.
Oh yeah, I
Can't wait for Darren Waller.
dropped some new tracks with the auto tune, aka the vocoder. Vocoder. That's what the filter's called. So look for Ryan and I to be.
You don't want to know what the filter's
dropping some sweet tracks. Also, shout out to Ryan doing a great job cleaning up the audio. I apologize on social media, but we did have a guest on, Billy from the Soccer Gambling Podcast, who a number of times misidentified soccer as football, and I made sure Ryan went in and bleeped all those out. So that was fun. Also, Ryan, fun.
Really, you're apologizing to the video audience. That maybe the live.
If you're watching live, we need to get a dump button, Ryan, because some of the live viewers and listeners unfortunately heard him say football a number of times when referring to soccer.
We need to get you a beep on the soundboard so you can just start jamming it in there.
Just hopping in and already off to a nice start with the U.S. Open. Shout out to Steve Shermer from the Golf Gambling Podcast, convincing me to get down on Rory McIlroy first round leader.
Kind of two ends of the spectrum there, because also was very high on fading Patrick Cantlay, which that was not a good one. But the Rory first round leader, even though it was dead heat, still a nice juicy cash there, Ryan. Do you want a little behind the scenes, quick inside baseball?
I'm ready.
After you left, CJ was not pleased with your cheering tactics, as he was sweating out of Bryson.
Yeah, well.
He felt like he was being polite with how he was cheering, and you didn't return the favor. I felt like the poor golf etiquette shown by Sean stacking the money green with a.
Well, it was the dramatic way he hit the 18th putt birdie. I was like, yeah, I would have cheered with. I mean, Bryson. We already knew Bryson wasn't going to win, so CJ, check out CJ's road to 10 million. Perfect transition because. Of course, circa millions, circa Survivor. You can win up to 60 million guaranteed. And again, it's awesome. You sign up in Las Vegas, you can play from anywhere. And we have a deal with the proxy, footballcontestproxy.com, promo code SGP. Get you $50 off to get in on the Circa Survivor and the Circa Millions. Joining us on the line, a survivor in and of his own right. You know him from the Premier League Gambling Podcast, Mr. Malcolm Bamford. Malcolm, how say you? What's happening?
What people do that don't like sport? I mean, it's tea time on a Friday. I've got the golf on the TV right in front of me. The baseball starts in about 10 minutes time. USA taking on Ireland in the Cricket World Cup as we speak. And in 55 minutes time, the second greatest football competition in the world kicks off. My arse isn't leaving that chair until midnight on Sunday. So yeah, brilliant. Really excited.
We need some SGPN seat cushions.
Just because if you're gonna post up and sit somewhere.
Sometimes it could be for a youth sporting event outside, but mostly just for inside when you're sitting in front of your TV. Upgrade your seating arrangement. Let's get Jake looking into this.
The chat is lit. Shout out to the chat. Big Chap saying love these podcasts. Serial checking in 2 Euro shows in 1 week. Impressive. And EB Steelers saying time to get drunk and look at pictures of Cameron Brink. So a lot of activities happen on the summer. I mean, for the audience just listening to the audio, they're missing out on Malcolm's sweet bucket hat. I would say you kind of got a Bill Murray Caddyshack vibe going here. How would you describe your outfit? And you're wearing a kit, a jersey, as we call it in America, that's autographed. Who is the
personalized?
Yeah, I can see two Malcolm on the jersey. Who is the autograph here, Malcolm?
I did think that this was the most football hooligan looking outfit that I could rustle up at short notice. This is a England 1982 World Cup in Spain. 1982 kit. Kevin Keegan, who was the 2-time European Footballer of the Year, legendary Newcastle player. My dad blames him for my gambling, Kevin Keegan. So that's a nice touch. And an absolute Newcastle legend. And I won this at a little talking thing. So I don't very often wear it. It often just hangs up behind me. But I thought I'd put it on. And the bucket hat, it's traditional sort of England national costume, the bucket hat.
I will say the bucket hat. I don't know if Malcolm's hair makes him look more youthful, but I feel like I'm looking at a more grizzled individual here. Perhaps I am complimenting
he pops the hat off, and you can see his fresh new haircut.
Sean
new profile photo. I don't hate it. I'm just jealous.
I mean, he's 18 from the ears up. My God.
All right, Malcolm, we're actually here to talk about
fucking jailbait over here.
Your nation's #1 sport. Wow.
Oh, Josh.
Shout out to Josh, producer Josh, with an amazing Caddyshack. That's what I was seeing. YouTube.com/sportsgambling podcast or over on X at Gambling Podcast. Great work here. Great work here.
Oh my God. I didn't see it, but now I see it.
Oh, now you can't unsee it.
Now I see it.
Malcolm, the games kick off, or soccer off, as some like to say. We have one noon Pacific time. That would be 8 or 9 o'clock your time. Soccer Scotland. Then we got a whole weekend of action. What are a couple plays? And of course, you and Baz are going to be covering it over on the Premier League Gambling Podcast, which is getting renamed
today
as the Euros gambling podcasts.
Is it Euro or Euros?
Yeah. Do you put the S at the end of Euro?
Yes, Euros. If you're talking about it singularly, we're discussing the Euros at this point.
All right. Euros. What do we like?
I like a hero.
What do we like for a weekend play here, or maybe a couple plays? What are you doing, Malcolm?
So we'll quickly cover Germany, Scotland, because that kicks off within the hour. In Germany, are really short favourites, so they're about -400. So you're looking at an angle in with a short price favourite. But I think Scotland can hang with them for quite a while. I think Scotland will make it tricky. A lot of endeavour with Scotland. And these opening games in these tournaments have quite a track record of favourites getting turned over. So although I think Germany might nick this, I think Scotland will make them work for it. So the half-time draw is a nice price.
Nice.
It's around about +162. So this could easily be 0-0 at half time with Germany nicking it in the second half. But I think Scotland will make them work for it. It'll be a cagey opening. So that's my first play for the early game tonight.
All right, and now this is the second British guy we've heard say cagey.
Cagey. And
was that a new word to you, cagey?
Well, I've heard cagey. I understand it, but
we would refer to like a raccoon under the house as cagey, probably.
Yeah, I think it's like a slightly different use case here in America. But yeah, I mean that possum that was driving me crazy, he was a cagey motherfucker. So I think it's slightly different. And also Nick, I like Nick as a win there.
He was speaking English, and it's still almost there was some translation going on in my brain.
Well, and again, it sounds like there's some agreement because I know Billy liked Neuer, the goalie,
Neuer,
lower a half goal in the Germany game. So and he got that over on Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN.
I'm loaded up on that, and I like the confidence because this is going to be. If you're listening to the podcast now, you already know if Malcolm's full of shit.
Well, and I like a 0-0 first half. One, I always enjoy a nice first half. So
you love no scoring.
Two, if nothing's gonna happen, you got to get some cash on it. So, and it's a fun sweat betting for nothing to happen. But I like the handicap. Malcolm, what do you like? What do you fancy? I'll translate for you. What do you fancy on the weekend slate here?
Going into the tournament, the first thing I'd say to anyone who was having a bet on it is look for some early trends, because particularly the authorities tend to mess around with these tournaments. They'll give out directives for things like cards and penalty kicks, and you need to be quick to get on them before the teams adjust, and particularly before the books adjust. So if you start seeing, they've issued a new directive whereby apparently only the captain of the team is allowed to speak to the referee, and if anyone else says anything, it's going to be an instant yellow card. Well, you've watched enough football to know that they're all a bunch of petulant children, and the minute anything goes on, they're all surrounding the referee. So they could be throwing yellow cards around like confetti. If that happens tonight, fill your boots tomorrow and Sunday, because by Monday the books will adjust. So little trends like that, and the same with goals. If you start to see a lot of overs, the tournament will carry on in that vein. If you're seeing a lot of cagey games, then the tournament will carry on in that vein as well. So if you see a trend, get amongst it, get onto it. I think we are going to be quite a low key weekend. I quite like the unders, and I quite like a lot of draws. I'm looking at Hungary versus Switzerland tomorrow. I like the draw in that game, just because of the format of the tournament. It's really quite hard to get knocked out in the first round. Only 8 of the 24 teams will go home after the first round. Hungary and Switzerland will both have their eyes on the Scotland game. That's their winnable game. They'll be happy with a draw tomorrow. They'll almost just carve it up. A 1-1 draw. We have the 1-1 draw of the week on the Premier League show, and that's gone out to 6-1 is the 1-1 draw.
I like
the draw in the Spain-Croatia game. And if you're looking for an underdog, my underdog of the weekend will be Slovenia, who take on Denmark. Denmark are so dull, it's incredible. They have about 9 different ways of playing, and they're all as dull as the last one. The manager does like a tactical tweak, but it's never exciting in any way. In Slovenia, a nice price, plus 425, Slovenia to roll over Denmark. And then I think it's worth touching on England as well. England play on Sunday night, and they take on Serbia. That's the one where I do like goals. That's really the only game of this weekend where I've pivoted to a more open attacking game, because England are full of goals. The front half of their pitch is really good. They've got some premium players. They've got some of Europe's top talent in the front half of the pitch. But the defence looks dodgy. It looks really shaky. They've got quite a few injuries. And even this couple of the second stringers that they're playing are going to have to play. There's question marks about them. There's a couple of players playing out of position in the back four. In Serbia, have got some good attacking players. So I think we can see goals in that one. Both teams to score is even money in the Serbia-England game. And Harry Kane, anytime goal scorer at plus 110. He's a top class player, Kane. He'll be on penalties. He'll be on a lot of the free kicks as well. So you get lots of value for your money on Kane. When England score, it's normally through Harry Kane. So yeah, that's a lot of my plays for this weekend.
Yeah, a lot to unpack. First off, keep an eye on the games early if there's some trends, and it seems like similar to how
that rule is. There's no way that they're going to hold that, right? That's very rugby of them to make the captains only rule, but that does seem like it's going to fail miserably if they enforce it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, I can't see. But it's just instinct. The first time a free kick's given tonight, you'll see, especially the Scottish, little aggressive Scottish midfielders. And Portugal are the same. You can't see Cristiano Ronaldo or Bruno Fernandes, people like that, who make a living out of trying to influence the referee. That's a part of what they do as players, is try and influence the game. I can't see it sticking. But we saw it in the last tournament. It was injury time. Do you remember stoppage time in the World Cup, where we play 45 minutes, and then they would put up 12 minutes of stoppage time, and it didn't really last very long. Penalties might be another angle, where the video assistant referee, suddenly every little shirt tug in the penalty area, they review it and give a penalty. So if you see a penalty tonight and a penalty in the first game tomorrow, start back in the penalties. Another angle. If they enforce it, the cards market are going to be absolutely wild, right?
Oh, it'll be bonkers. So, Malcolm, if you had to give out your lock of these plays, and you gave out a bunch.
Well, the Switzerland hungry draw. The Swiss love a good draw.
Yeah, they're happy to stay out of. Hey, we can just be neutral in this thing.
I don't have a good hungry draw anecdote, but I like that.
I'm seeing plus 225 here, but again, shop around. But what would you say is your lock for the weekend here, Malcolm?
I'll take the both teams to score in the England v Serbia game.
Ooh,
even money.
Well, because you also like you also like the over. I don't know. We don't have the total yet. Is it going to be 2.5?
Yeah, it will be 2.5. I can try and fetch that up for you now. Yeah, very much in the Premier League last year, 3.5 was the new 2.5. Because it was goals galore. But I don't think we're going to see that here. Over 2.5 here is -111, Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. I'm in on that. And so, sir, what's your take, real quick? What's your take on England for the tournament as a whole? I know some drama coming in. How say you on this English team? Do you think it's do they have an easy path? How say you?
The team themselves, the squad is really good. It's absolutely packed with talent. But England nearly always find a way to mess it up. The manager is a really very dull man. But this time around, he seems to be taking the handbrake off. He's the sort of man who leaves his dinner to stand for 2 minutes when he's taking it out of the microwave. That's the sort of bloke we're dealing with here.
Plays it very safe.
Yes, but this time round, he's actually making some noises as if he's just going to let them go and play. I just don't think the defence will hold up in the really big spots. I've got them going to the semi-final and getting knocked out by France. So they should go deep. They've got incredible players, but just that defence, I think we'll let them down. In the, like I say, semi-final against France. And what was the rest of your question? I forgot.
No, just basically what you're.
Everyone from England seems to feel the same way about England.
Yeah, I mean, Billy was telling us that the general consensus in England was like, hey, well, obviously we're going to get to the semis against France, and people are already like breaking down the matchup against France, and he was saying like, hey, not so fast. We can't look ahead of it.
Same thing. Defense is missing some key pieces.
Yeah, and to Malcolm's point, he thinks there could be some goals scored there.
Yeah.
Very cool that Underdog Fantasy they're offering euros in the market. I just threw out Billy's play, like Neuer lower a half goal. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. I had to take the screenshots and send them over to Malcolm. They don't have Underdog Fantasy yet over there across the pond, although maybe coming soon, because I know you guys have some of the other guys over there. What any Underdog of fantasy plays you like, Malcolm?
Do you want me to take out the Germany-Scotland game that starts tonight, and we'll go from tomorrow?
Why don't we leave that guy out for people who aren't listening live? Maybe they're catching this early Saturday. Saturday, Sunday, anything you like on Underdog?
Yeah, so I've got 5 players here. I don't know what the odds will be. Wow. Maybe you can plumb them in for me as we go. We'll start with the Hungary v Switzerland game.
Ryan, you got
I'm
this?
on it. I'm on it.
Are you on it? Come on, you can do this. Actually, just harking back to that Germany game, Sean, I did pick Kai Havertz on the fouls market, just really for old time's sake, after he completely screwed the company bet.
Our company happy hour Underdog Fantasy Pick'em went down in horrific fashion.
We had lower 1.5 fouls, and he had 2 fouls in the first.
Yeah, I go. All we need is no fouls, and then immediately there's a foul. I'm like, well, that can't be Kai Havertz, can it? And I'm like, motherfucker.
Pretty hilarious stuff.
Great start.
You can have him higher on the fouls market tonight, Sean. He's in there.
All right.
So for tomorrow, Switzerland, Ryan, Fabian Schär,
Yes.
Schar. And we're going to go. This is a bit of a homer play because Fabian Schär plays for Newcastle. He's a centre half, but he's a bit of a luxury item, and he does like getting forward. So we're going to higher than half a shot. Doesn't have to be on target, but higher than half an attempt on goal from Fabian Schär. Have you got that?
Yep. I'm in.
Okay. We'll stay with Switzerland. And Elvedi, Nico Elvedi, the centre back who plays for Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. Over is not a word we use. Higher than half a foul for Nico Elvedi.
Oh, all right.
Great
All
work
right.
there. Great work.
Nice. I'm in.
Good catch, wasn't it?
Next.
Very good catch.
That was beautiful.
Okay, so we're going to leave that game. We'll go to Croatia versus Spain, Ryan. And we're looking at the Spanish goalkeeper, Unai Simon, who is going to concede a goal. Croatia are going to get on the score sheet here. So higher than half a goal allowed for Unai Simon. Yeah, you nodding? You got that?
I'm in. Yeah, I'm locked in.
And then we've got 2 from the Italy-Albania game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The Albanian goalkeeper, I imagine Italy will lay siege to the Albanian goal for the most part of this one. So higher than 3.5 saves. His name is Erit Berisha.
Yep.
You got him?
I know Berisha. I'm a big
big fan of his work, yeah. The Albanian football gambling podcast coming soon. And the Italian striker, who's going to have all of those shots, is Gianluca Scamacca. So we're going higher on the shots for Scamacca. And those are the 5 plays.
Do we want shots attempted or shots on target? Shots attempted.
Not on target. No, he's a bit of a wild flyer. So, yeah, just attempted.
Kramer,
okay, so we had a lot of chalk in there.
Give us a rapid fire. What do we got?
We got a bunch. Well, I like that we have a bunch of hires, first of all.
Yes.
Yes.
You want me to say all these names? We got Schär from Switzerland, the defensive minded go forward guy is going to get higher than a half shot. That's a 0.8x. Elvedi, defenseman for Switzerland, I think is going to get higher than a half foul, 0.75x. We got Simone, the goalkeeper from España, going to allow higher than a half goal. That's 0.75x. Then we got Berisha, the goalkeeper from Albania, who's going to have higher than 3.5 saves, 0.95x. And then the guy taking all the shots, who, by the way, in the picture on Underdog has frosted tips, Scamacca. He's going to be 0.85x for higher than 2.5 shots attempted. Total is 6.03x. So that's not bad. That's like a 15-point dog.
That's a big dog.
Yeah, big dog.
Appreciate you calling in, Malcolm. Make sure you follow Malcolm and Baz over on the Premier League Gambling Podcast, which is getting renamed for the Euros. Check them out wherever you get your podcasts. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. And follow Malcolm, the cheeky lad that he is, on X at Mal_B_sport. Malcolm, appreciate it, man. Let it ride. Thanks for calling in.
Cheers, boys. Good weekend. See you later.
Cheers to Malcolm. Good times, Ryan. I'm gonna need a copy of that after the show.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we can't have 2 players from one. I don't know. Something's causing me to.
Oh, is it getting jammed up? Yeah. Sometimes I don't think you can. I don't know. You'd have to check the rules on the pick'em. Sometimes if you do a 5 thing, can you have 2 guys? I think you can usually, but no, maybe
some of these are just off the board for a second. That's
okay.
I gotta recycle.
All right, we're gonna get that taken care of. Game 4 is tonight, so if you're looking to get in a little action on the NBA Finals, joining us to talk all things NBA from the NBA Gambling Podcast, the WNBA Gambling Podcast, and the Tennis Gambling Podcast, MLB Gambling Podcast. He does it all. Look at that sweet tennis shirt. Radio Reichel himself, yes. Scott Reichel. Scott, what's happening, man?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Between this and the Stanley Cup Finals, it's kind of boring, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, I can't think. I think they went back. You have to go back to the 80s, maybe, where both Stanley Cup and NBA were both sweeps, and even within the NBA, the conference finals, it was 4-0 and 4-1, and now we're looking 3-0. It's kind of just been a bloodbath here. Unfortunately, if you're a Mavs backer, the Boston, I don't know. I'm sure I'm just a hater, and maybe I misanalyze my hate for Tatum and thinking Tatum wasn't the guy. And really I underestimated how deep this Celtics team was. Let's just start there. Well, first off, also shout out to you, Scott. I mean, I was online at like 11 o'clock last night and I see Scott going live, talking tennis, giving the people what they want. So burning the midnight oil. Appreciate that. But, what's been your take on this series in general? Kind of underwhelming, obviously. Well, I mean the Mavs. I did put a little sprinkle on Kyrie Irving to win MVP before Game 3 at 100-1, and damn it if it didn't set up perfectly. He had a good game. Luka fouls out late. If he could have somehow got that win, I mean his odds would have been a crazy shift. But what are your big picture takeaways here, Scott?
Well, I feel like the takeaway is something you mentioned before. Boston supporting cast a lot better, and we knew going into the series that Dallas was going to have to rely heavily on Luka and Kyrie to basically carry this team. I mean, we saw PJ Washington have a good moment there in the Oklahoma City series where he shot lights out and he was able to bail them out of some, I'd say, average games from Kyrie throughout that series, and they were able to win anyway. But as you're going through the series and Kyrie kind of got bottled up in games 1 and 2, you were kind of waiting for anybody to step up.
Yeah.
Washington's had a decent series so far, but if you just go down the line of who's been, I'd say, even relevant in the series bench-wise, Tim Hardaway Jr. can't play in the series, and he was the favorite to win Sixth Man of the Year for the first half of the NBA season. He can't play. Kleber can't lift his arms, so I don't know why he's on the court because he hurt he hurt his shoulder. He can't move, and you're going down the line. Exum's barely playing throughout the course of the playoffs. Green doesn't get many minutes, but it just feels like Dallas doesn't exactly have many plan Bs if Kyrie and Luka do not have their A game all the time. And Boston has been able to throw a lot of different looks at Luka and Kyrie. I know Kyrie went off in game 3. Luka was also playing well. They combined for 30 plus points in the first half, and they were only up 1. So I kind of tweeted out that's probably not a good sign. And they immediately went down 15. And then you kind of thought that the game was over. Then Boston did some Boston things, and you made the game interesting again. And then Jason Kidd calls a timeout in the middle of a 20-2 run.
I'm glad you tweeted that out because I was watching on my couch and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You have the momentum. It would be, I compare this to blackjack. Like if you are just on a heater, you don't get up from a hot table. You don't call a timeout when you're having a historic comeback in this game. I mean, we
were told Jason Kidd was sharp.
No, it's just because he wears glasses. People think he's smart. And I don't even think he needs glasses. Those are not prescription glasses. That you look at, like, as soon as he called that timeout, Luka, like, was given like the what the fuck face to him. That was very frustrating, and I feel like it's weird. He certainly deserves some credit, right, for making this Luka Kyrie thing work and getting a lot out of Kyrie over the stretch of the season, and a lot of changes in their roster and getting them to the finals. But then the in-game stuff, the timeouts in particular, have just been. It makes no sense to me. I mean, I'm glad Scott tweeted it out because I had that exact same thought.
Isn't that the edges that like are squarely on the coach? Like it's like no one else is really to blame because
well, and I think Scott was, kind of getting to it where none of these role players are stepping up offensively for the Mavs. They haven't really been able to figure it out. Every basket feels like so much work for this Dallas Mavericks team, right? They haven't broken 100 the 3 games in the series, but just every, even if they are getting buckets, it's like, man, a lot of dribbles. There's no easy stuff in transition. They've done a good job of not letting PJ Washington find a spot in the corner. I struggle to find the play here for me. Now, I guess full game, sure. Give me the Mavs one more time, but Mavs race to 10 is like -110, -115. That to me, all right. Mavs getting to 10 first. I can totally see that. Scott, what do you like full game here for game 4?
I thought you were reserving all race to 10 bets for March Madness. I didn't realize you were breaking it out in the middle of June. But
because I can't trust them to cover -1.5 in the first quarter. I mean, that was no one feels bad for me, but man, they were up like 13 points with 4 minutes left. Luka can hold for the last shot. Now he chucks up a 3. Of course, doesn't get back on defense. Chucks up a 3 with like 4 seconds left. Even 4 seconds, I'm like, all right, well, it's fine. They're not going to be able to get a good shot off. They just chuck it down the court, and then Tatum hits a layup, and the Celtics lose the quarter by exactly 1 point and cover the 1.5. It was, my God, it's been that series in a nutshell, that sequence there. But Scott, what do you like here for game 4?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the under in this game at 211.5. There's really no reason to stray from it. Every game's gone under pretty handily so far in the series. You mentioned a little while ago that Dallas has not scored 100 points yet in the series. Boston also has not gotten to 108, so it's not like either team's really been lighting up offensively. Boston probably should have in one of these games, but they have a dry spell of like 8-9 minutes in every game where they just take bad shots and suddenly the offense is broken. So I do think the under's worth a look. Scott Foster's the ref tonight, which is not a shock to anybody because he's the extender. He's been really bad in the playoffs extending series, but he's on the call as a last ditch effort, I guess, to extend the series. But I do think his games so far in the postseason have kind of trended under, and a lot of people think they're going to go over because he calls a lot of fouls. He really kills the flow of all these games with all the stoppages, and it seems like Dallas in general plays a lot slower. But I do think you're looking at what should be another ugly game. You need a couple things to go right to get the over. You need either Boston to show up for a full 48 or even 45 minutes in this game. No guarantee that happens. In Dallas, we saw have Luka and Kyrie combined for 60-plus points last game, and they still didn't get to 100 because supporting cast is terrible. So I feel like we've seen a lot of different scripts from Dallas. Luka with a triple-double. We've seen P.J. Washington step up and have a solid game. We saw even Hardy have a good game one as blowout fashion, but still. Point is, we've seen a lot of different scripts for Dallas, and in none of them have they gone to 100 points. Probably not a good sign for the over.
No.
So I like the under in this game.
No, I mean the only reason you would take the over, I think, is that hey, the under's been 3-0. Maybe the overs do, but that's certainly not a good way to approach it. Like I don't see, to Scott's point, I don't see anything changing so much. I think Mavs, if they do get the win, it's going to be a similar game flow. Like maybe they break 100, but it's like 104, 97, something like that. Kramer, what are your thoughts? Any plays you like here for the full game? And then let's talk a little props after.
Luka was born in 1999.
Yes.
The next year, Slovenia made their first appearance in the European Soccer Championships. This year, they make their second appearance. If they lose this game, he can get on a plane and be back in time to go to. He's a huge soccer fan. This is well documented. Well, huge soccer fan, and your country's in the Euros for the first time, basically ever, and in your lifetime. You don't think he's getting back and making that 9 a.m.
It's like Joker with his horses.
Yeah, I think he might have his mind somewhere else. And I think this series is over. I'm laying it with Boston. Great win, Boston. Congratulations. I'm actually going to take the stance that the reason all these teams looked so bad against Boston is because Boston is maybe one of the greatest teams we ever seen. This might be the greatest champion the NBA has ever seen. They're going to win this game by 20 points tonight. Play the alt numbers, whatever you want to do. Not a totals guy.
I mean, it certainly is in the cards. That's why
something happened in game 3. Like Luka and Jason Kidd aren't on good terms. I'm certain they're yelling at each other. Luka's being a big baby. He just wants to watch soccer.
I just want to ask though, since you've been kind of anti-Celtics this entire time, is this a bit? You're going with like one of the best teams of all time. Is this a bit? Yeah. Or are you like actually fully pivoting?
Well, I mean, there is one way to react to. Well, every team they played looked like shit. Well, maybe they were really good. I mean, and as you were kind of talking about how Dallas has looked bad, there is an element of Boston just kind of they're beating the crap out of a team that everyone kind of agreed was pretty good, and now we're back to saying that this is a joke. So. It's a bit, but I do think Boston's probably at the point where they're not getting enough respect.
I mean, if you're a Boston fan and you're saying like everyone says we're not good, we only lost 2 games. They've lost 2 games, and one of those games, the Heat set a franchise record for made threes. So the counter is there. But I mean, watching that Indiana series, like they look bad. I mean, relative considering they swept them,
haven't lost a road game.
They were 1-3 ATS. No, I mean these are all good points, and I'm sure Celtics fans are pulling their hair out. Hey, we'll talk a little props here in just a second. Before we do that, shout out to Rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Get in there for some NBA player props and claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. I was talking to some of the Rhythm guys yesterday. Very fun to create your own model. They got a nice little slider there. You can custom pick out what stats matter to you, and you can come up with your own model, your own projections, kind of do it your own way. Or if you want to say, hey, that's too much work, let Rhythm do the heavy lifting. You can use their models as well. Again, Rhythm was all over Tatum under and assists under assists and rebounds on game 3. I naively was on the over rebounds. I thought it was an auto play, but again, AI, let them do the heavy lifting. And shout out to Rhythm. I know they like Sam Hauser over 5.5 points. I'm going to ride with that. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM to get your free 7-day trial. And of course, Jong checking in the chat. Legend said he just cashed a plus 342 parlay thanks to the tennis Discord channel.
Oh, wow.
So shout out to Jong and of course the host of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, Scott, and also Jong promoting the Olympics Discord channel, which we have going, breaking down badminton. So
#Legends only.
you're worried guys like Jong don't have anything to bet on? You are sorely mistaken. Jong is slammed right now.
I'd also point out that they're that Juan fella in the rugby channel basically writes up 500 words
articles,
every weekend on the slate if you're looking to get into some new sports.
Scotty, what do you got? Oh, sorry, do you not like? Do you appreciate Scotty as a nickname, or do you find that annoying?
Yeah, I don't really care. It's fine.
Okay,
It's all good.
All right, Scotty, what do you like? NBA player props game 4.
So there was one prop that I like for plus money. It's actually Luka to lead the game in first quarter points, and that's actually plus 140 for some reason. He currently has the highest first quarter points number. Tatum second at 7.5. Luka's at 9.5. He's at 13 in back-to-back games. So I find it interesting that Luka to lead the game in first quarter points is plus 140. You might be able to get an alt line for Luka points in the first quarter. You can argue that we have seen kind of a similar script, which is Luka getting off to good starts and then kind of cooling off down the stretch, either because of fatigue or just the fact that he gets discouraged with the amount of calls that don't go his way on every possession. But the point is, I do think first quarter points for Luka might be worth consideration. Plus 140 to lead the game in first quarter points, I think is very appealing for a player that we know when his back's up against the wall, or even just in general, he is very aggressive coming out of the gates and he plays every minute of the first quarter. It's an elimination game. He's going to have to play 45 plus minutes, whether his mind's in Slovenia or not. So I think he's going to end up playing a bunch of minutes in this game. Give me Luka first quarter to lead the game in points at plus 140.
Yeah, they're gonna get the kitchen sink out. I like it because I mean, again, I like them race to 10. I'm worried I can't trust them to play 12 great minutes. I'm worried they're gonna blow in the last couple. So race to 10. But I love the Luka lead the first quarter at plus 140. I'm surprised it's that high. I guess they're factoring in. Obviously, Tatum has been getting off to some good first quarters, although kind of cooled off game 1, game 2. He's oddly better points wise on the road than he is at home. Kramer, any props jumping out at you?
Yeah, Matt. I mean, I like what you guys are talking about here. And do we take Mavs win first quarter, Celtics win game? Plus 380.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that. I also kind of want Boston not to win at home because I don't want the fans to get to be there and celebrate. I want it to be some deferred like parade thing that no one ever has as much fun at.
Scott, any chance this gets to a game 6? Any chance?
No.
A game 6, I'll say no, unless there's some type of injury that we cannot exactly expect. But I don't mind the first quarter play with Boston to win. I think Boston's going to win tonight. If Dallas gets the job done, maybe Scott Foster does some stuff, somebody gets in foul trouble, but maybe just end up seeing Dallas hit some shots. I think that ship has sailed for me. Boston has been able to win games despite not having things go exactly their way. Offensively, we've seen Tatum have 2 bad games. They won anyway. Tatum played well in game 3. They won. They've been able to overcome some obstacles. Porzingis' injury, for example. Dallas has been, once again, getting different types of production from different guys on different nights, and they're still losing every game, and they're still not scoring 100 points. So I do think Boston is going to win the game. It also would be pretty fitting for Boston to win on the road because we've talked about how bad they've been at home in the playoffs for the last couple of years, and them being undefeated on the road. I think it matters. You can argue that they don't need extra motivation, but in reality, with them being undefeated on the road and with the amount of expectations they've had over the last couple of years to, I don't want to say underachieve, but to fall on their faces time after time, I do think it's a good spot to not mess around, try to get the job done, and maybe to preserve the undefeated road streak that they got going on right now. So I think Boston's going to win. I don't mind, though, that Dallas first quarter play as well, because they're going to have to come out with energy. We saw that in the last game. They did win the first quarter despite not covering. So I do think looking at Dallas first quarter, Boston to win, I think it's a solid price, especially at that number.
All right. One other thing. Is it possible the MVP voters will be really sharp and see Drew Holiday as the true MVP at 75-1?
I was a fan of Holiday going into game 3, and then his numbers weren't exactly good enough. I think that Jaylen Brown jumper to kind of ice the game put the actual MVP on ice for me.
Yeah, that dunk too. That like emphatic dunk.
We should have bet him at
shit.
650 or whatever.
I know. I threw it out a number of times. I'm like, hey, if you like Boston, or maybe even a fun way to hedge your Mavs.
Tatum was never winning that fucking MVP.
Although I think Tatum, this is a good question to go out on for Scott here. I think Tatum, I saw, has a chance to lead the team in points, rebounds, and assists. If he has like a very good game here, does he still have a shot? Or how would you mark it? What's your handle on the NBA MVP award here?
I think that Tatum would have a better chance of actually winning the award if he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP award. But since it's already in people's minds and the voters' minds that Jaylen Brown might be the secret to this entire team, and the fact that he's been arguably as good as Tatum in the series, maybe even better, because Tatum was pretty underwhelming in games 1 and 2. I know he almost had a triple-double. He wasn't very good in game 2, just being honest. But I think Jaylen Brown is worthy being the favorite. I think if Tatum's going to win the MVP, he's going to need 30 plus, maybe even 35, and he probably needs Brown to go for less than 25. He needs, in my opinion, a 10-point differential, probably a double-double in there with rebounds or assists, and I think Boston obviously has to win. You could argue that if you want Tatum to win MVP, and you have money on it now, you might actually want Boston to lose this game, because you might have a better chance of winning the MVP if you add a couple more games to, contribute to his stats. But I think Tatum's going to have to drastically outplay Brown in order to actually win this award. I think it's Brown's to lose, and rightfully so. The odds are priced that way. I think Brown's going to win it, but I think Tatum probably needs, if I had to guess, like 32-12, and Brown needs to go for like 22 on inefficient shooting, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So there's so much narrative stuff too.
Yeah, true. But probably not worth hopping in on Tatum at plus 260 now, because it sounds like you're essentially parlaying a very good Tatum game with a bad Jaylen Brown game parlayed with the Celtics maybe losing this game or winning it. So I don't know. At plus 260, the ship has probably sailed on Tatum.
So
right?
we're not betting 75-1 Drew Holiday.
No. And just want to point out, Kyrie Irving, we gave it out at 100-1. It's now 90-1. So enjoy that CLV, and that's what it's all about. It's not winning bets. It's closing line value. Scott, always enjoy having you on the show. Give Scott a follow at Reichel Radio. What do you got coming up? WNBA, tennis, gambling, MLB. What is your next podcast you're doing for the network, Scott?
So WNBA, Terrell and I did the Friday games and the Saturday games already. So we did that in one episode. We did that last night. So check that out if you want to get some WNBA action. I have a tennis episode tonight. Going to do the semifinals in Stuttgart and Den Bosch. So that's going to be coming out tonight. Besides that, I got a baseball pod in about 2 hours. So I'll be busy with the MLB gambling podcast.
Grind.
Let's get it.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Hardest working man at SGPN.
Let's go. I like that, because then Moonoff will hear about it, and he'll get chippy.
That's your title, not mine. So I appreciate the compliments.
Very gracious.
We need a trophy. Maybe a wrestling belt. No, Stanley Cup, where we can print the
hardest working of the month. All right, that's
grinder of the month.
Grinder. Yeah, well, I feel like a sandwich place had the grinder of the month.
Also, that there's other thing. It means other stuff too.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a Gruden grinder award, but I think that got redacted. I don't know if you can use that.
I actually kind of like you bringing it back here.
We did briefly have the Gruden grinder. Maybe we'll bring that back.
I have the Milano semen. If I take a picture of me in that jacket, we'll hit up John Gruden and see if he'll bless us doing the Gruden grinder.
Maybe we can endorse him. He's got some free time. And hey, tune into our live show on VSiN, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock East.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Rest in peace, Dallas.
Kramer. Let it ride.